I'm Marine Desaphy. I work in this school and I teach physics, chemical, and water management and wastewater treatment. Today I'm going to talk to you about monitoring water quality in aquaponics. So first of all, we will see importance of monitoring. We are waiting a minute. And just information, Philippe Jobard is with us because he teaches in the school too, and he would like to learn about aquaponics. He teaches hydraulic like Pierre Ergot. So first of all, we will see importance of monitoring water quality in aquaponics. I will present La Canourge aquaponics system. Perhaps you visit it. Yes. And different parts of this aquaponics system: aquaculture facilities, hydroponics facilities, bacterial facilities, because each part of is different for water quality. Requirements are different for fish or plants or bacteria. After I present physical chemical parameters indicator, suspended matter, dissolved nitrogen compound, dissolved phosphorus compound, alkalinity, pH, temperature, dissolved oxygen, redox potential, and electroconductivity. And finally, monitoring indicator parameters. And we will make practical work and to take sample on the aquaponics system and to make measurement these parameters. So I try to make a diagram of La Canourge aquaponics system. And on this diagram, you can see the way of water between different parts of aquaponic. Water come, if we are, if I start from fish tank, water goes through a drum filter, yes, to eliminate, no, so yes, suspended matter. And water goes in aquaculture pump tank. The water pumped goes into UV filter and moving bed biologic reactor. Donc UV is for disinfection, and the moving bed biologic reactor is for nitrifying total ammonia nitrogen. Total ammonia nitrogen is become nitrate and nitrate, and nitrate is not a problem for fish, but ammonia nitrogen can be toxic for fish. After biological treatment, there is bioblock to remove carbon dioxide and to take oxygen, and the water come back into the fish tank. Of course, in aquaponics we have plants too, so we have a greenhouse, and the water there is a way of water between aquaculture pump tank and horticulture pump tank. And this water can be pumped and can go into the greenhouse for growth, to grow plants. And the plants will take nitrates, for example, phosphate, to grow, and other mineral things. I think I said everything. Mm-hmm. So water quality is important for fish. In aquaponics, we can have different species of fish. The most important are tilapia, but we can have ornamental fish, catfish, sun perch, trout. In La Canourge, we had trout last year. This year we have sturgeon and tilapia. And other species. This is this figure is made about results of a worldwide statistics study about aquaponic farmer. 809 aquaponic farmer. Okay. So different species and different requirements. Sometimes, so it's sometimes it's difficult to say what quality water. It depends of the species sometimes. In for farmed fish requirements, in recirculated systems, good water quality must be maintained for maximum fish growth. Water quality factors that must be monitored are temperature, dissolved oxygen, carbon dioxide, pH, ammonia, nitrates, and solids. Other water quality factors that should be considered alkalinity and nitrates, because alkalinity decrease in nitrification. With nitrification, and nitrate it can be a problem if this concentration is very high. Farmed fish requirement. In raw circulating system, we have this recommended. For example, temperature, optimum range for species cultured less than 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Dissolved oxygen, 60% or more of saturation, and usually 5 ppm or more for warm water fish, and greater than 2 ppm in biofilter effluent. Carbon dioxide, less than 20 ppm. pH, 7 to 8, it's the best for fish. Total alkalinity, 50 to 100 ppm or more as calcium carbonate. Total hardness, unionized ammonia, less than 0.05 ppm, nitrate less than 0.5 ppm, and salt sometimes. This is recommendations. When we talk about water quality, of course, we have to talk about fish release. because they release waste, and it can change the quality of water too. Chemical reaction in fish's metabolic process induce rejection of byproducts in dissolved and particulate form. Usually, fish rejects 1/3 of nitrogen in solid form and the rest in dissolved form, 2/3 of phosphorus in solid form and the rest in dissolved form. You have different sort of release. So heating rejection, the nature is solid, like nitrogen, solid nitrogen, of the part of phosphorus which is solid, and other suspended matter we can find in the water. Rejections, we have nitrogen solid 2, phosphorus solid 2, and suspended matter comes from feed composition. And metabolism, the nature is dissolved release. Total ammonium nitrogen, urea, nitrate, nitrite, proteins, degradations, and orthophosphate, lipid and glucid degradations who produce carbon dioxide and bicarbonate. So I made a diagram to explain chemical exchange in aquaponics. It isn't very easy. So you have the fish. The fish produces total ammonia nitrogen, total phosphate, but solids. And in the aquaponics system, total ammonia nitrogen is becoming nitrite and nitrate with agitated bed or moving bed biologic reactor. And for nitrification, you need alkalinity, and so the pH decrease, and it's bacteria who use who make nitrification. So the bacteria are in the center of the system. Of course, fish produce phosphate too, and phosphate and nitrate can be taken by the plant. Solids are stopped with drum filter, and dissolved. We have dissolved product, and of course we have exchange. Bacteria takes oxygen to make nitrification and release carbon dioxide. I take, for this diagram, I take a diagram made for closed fish aquaculture, circuit fermé, aquaculture, waste system, perhaps, in aquaculture, and I adapted it for aquaponics, so it was difficult. It wasn't easy. So now we will talk about hydroponics facilities, so plants. Plant species in aquaponics are a lot. A lot of plant species can be cultivated in aquaponics system. Plants which have less or middle needs are easier to cultivate, of course. Example, lettuce and other salads, Chinese cabbage, spinach, broccoli, aromatic herbs. And plants which have strong needs will be adapted to intensive fish farm. Examples, tomato, pepperoni, cucumber, bean, cabbage, flower, squash. And polyculture seems have advantage because of the balancing nutrients captured. Different plants have different requirements, so it's better when you have polyculture. Alors, plant species used in aquaponics are in these diagrams, like basilic, tomato, salad, herbs, pepper, and lettuce, cucumber. This document comes from APIVA project. It's a project in Canourge, APIVA, adapted from this source. So we can have a lot of species, plant species in aquaponics, and you can test other species too. About plant requirements, plants need carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, and this element brought in photosynthesis. They need macronutrients too, azote, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium. Well, we have phosphorus and sulfur. Micronutrients too. Chlorure, bore, fer, iron, manganese, zinc, cuivre and molybdenum, copper. Yes. Plants can also use free amino acids in their growth. Macronutrients are important for structure of molecules, and micronutrients catalyst or regulator, for example, enzyme activation. Calcium and magnesium have a dual role, structure and regulator. Be careful of excess. An excess of one or more nutrients can reduce bioavailability of other nutrients or cause toxicity. For example, tomatoes need nitrate during vegetative stage, but if the concentration is too high, it will cause inhibition in fruit growth. So it's important nitrate measure to measure nitrate and the other mineral things. So now I make a comparison between hydroponic and aquaponic. In hydroponic, nutrient solutions are made with minerals nutrients in ionic form. In aquaponics, nutrients come from fish farming. Nutrients are inorganic form too, not only mineral. So the assimilating processes of plants is still little known because of the organic form. Plants will take mineral form, but in aquaponics, we have organic form, and perhaps just under the plant, we have a substrate in English, I don't know. And perhaps sometimes organic form become mineral form, and plants can take these mineral forms. And in aquaponics, microfauna has an effect in nutrient assimilations. In hydroponics, we have no bacteria. It seems to have a beneficial effect in plant growth and organic molecules assimilation. Yields are similar or better in aquaponics than hydroponics, despite lower concentrations in mineral nutrients. I have a table who compare different concentration. We can see, but in this blue, it's in aquaponics, and here hydroponics. For the same elements, you can see, in aquaponics we have different plants, and you can see the concentration, or for pH is not a concentration, but for example for calcium in hydroponics, 200, it's in milligram per liter, I think, yes, to 300 milligram per liter. But in aquaponics, for these plants, we have a maximum 24 milligram per liter. In nitrate, for example, it's the same. This number are less important. In hydroponics, we have a lot. We have big concentrations, and sometimes for the same effect, the same growth of plants.
Are these observations or recommendations?
Observation, I think. It's concentration in macronutrients in aquaponic irrigation. Yes, it's observation, measurement in the different systems. So there is something with bacteria in aquaponics, which transform organic matter in mineral matter, and needs are less important. This diagram is to introduce bacterial facilities. So we have, I talk about fish requirement, plants requirements, and we have, of course, bacteria. And bacteria requirement is important too, because they make nitrification. So bacteria are important here when we have ammoniac or nitrogen. They take ammonium, and in aerobic, comment on dit, with oxygen, they convert ammonia in nitrite on the first step, and these bacteria are nitrosomonas. And after we have other bacteria, we need oxygen too, and convert, it's nitrobacter, they convert nitrite in nitrate. And nitrates can be absorbed by plants, for example. And you can see on this slide that they use alkalinity, pH, so pH will decrease So I just talk about chemoautotrophic bacteria, but we can have in aquaponics system other bacteria who are heterotrophic bacteria. And heterotrophic bacteria are in competition with nitrifying bacteria for oxygen. This bacteria is organic suspended matter. So if you have too much organic suspended matter, sometimes this heterotrophic bacteria increase. And it's not good for aquaponic system and for nitrification. So you need to filtrate water to prevent growth of these bacteria, which consume a lot of dissolved oxygen too. During nitrification, bacteria use alkalinity, producing a decrease of pH, and carbon dioxide, produce carbon dioxide. Here is something you have in a moving bed bioreactor media. You have it in the move. And it's in French, but you can have a heterotrophic bacteria in the area, surface. On the surface. On the surface, like in French. And this bacteria will take oxygen, and other bacteria, nitrifying bacteria, are here, and sometimes they have no oxygen because these bacteria take oxygen first. So it can have inhibition of nitrification. So you have combination of hydroponic cultivation and aquaculture need to conciliate physical and chemical parameters of water quality to ensure growth and survival for plants, fish, and nitrifying bacteria. The most critical parameters are nitrogen compounds, phosphorus compounds, suspended organic matter, pH, dissolved oxygen, temperature, and conductivity. For the moment, I don't give you a value, but we will see it after. So now I will explain the parameters we can measure to have water quality. So the first one is suspended matter. We can measure suspending matter with a filtration method. We take a filter, microporous filter. We can stop suspended matter. We have to weight this filter. After we are going to filtrate, and we need to dry the filter after filtration, and waiting again, and to make with a difference like this, we can have a concentration of suspended matter. It's very easy, but it's long. It's a little bit long because we have to wait 2 hours of drying at 105 degrees Celsius degrees. I just put where we have suspended matter. So normally we have suspended matter and fish tank exists because it comes from fish. And drum filter stop this suspended matter. But it's important to make a measure in aquaculture pump or in fish tank to control this parameter for fish. Other parameter, dissolved nitrogen compound. So we have different sorts of nitrogen compound. Ammoniacal nitrogen, or total ammonia nitrogen, which is ammonium and ammonia. Ammonia is toxic for fishes. Ammonia causes irritation and solidification of gill wrackers, and so respiratory problems. For example, for salmonids, juvenile fish, ammonia needs to be under 1.1 milligram per liter. When the fish are biggest, we can have 0.04 milligram per liter. For tilapia, you can have more ammonia. Ammonium is less toxic than ammonia. And the concentration of ammonium or ammonia depends on the pH. If the pH is too high, we have ammonia, and until we have ammonium. So it's important, we will see, to control the pH too. Ammonium is less toxic and metabolizable by plants if we have this ratio, nitrate and ammonium less than 80% to 20%. And ammonia, yes, I always say that. So we have table to know ammonia concentration as a function of temperature and pH. So we have different pH, different temperature, and we can see one is 15 and the pH is near 7.5. We have this concentration. It's a percentage of ammonia in total ammonia nitrogen. So you have more ammonium than ammonia. So it isn't a problem. But if the pH increase, you can see it's ammonia becomes very important, and it can be a problem because it's very toxic for fish. It's like the other table, this one, but it's tan not to exceed the toxic threshold of 0.01 milligram per liter in ammonia for juvenile trout. The second nitrogen compound is nitrite. Normally, nitrite is, in nitrifying, we have two steps. Ammonium becomes nitrite, and after nitrite becomes nitrate. Nitrite is the first step if nitrification is not complete. So nitrite is also toxic for fish. It generates gills dysfunctions too, disturbs their ability to transfer oxygen into the blood because nitrite modifies hemoglobin molecule. When oxygen saturation level is low, nitrite can increase. We say you may have nitrite less than 0.2 or 0.3 milligram per liter. The third compound is nitrate. Nitrate is less toxic. In classic aquaculture system, nitrate must be between 50 and 100 milligrams per liter. Recommendation in hydroponics is nitrate between 50 and 280 milligrams per liter. So it's thank you. And in hydroponics, ratio nitrate ammonia should vary between 100 and 0 or 80 to 20. Below, we have root toxicity, which can appear. And some cations absorption capacity can be inhibited, like potassium, calcium, magnesium. I'm not going too fast. It's okay? I think you can have this presentation after. Another parameter, dissolved phosphorus compound. Fish farm releases orthophosphate and organic phosphorus coming from fish food. Plants use phosphorus for growth, and phosphorus is often low in aquaponics. But it doesn't raise problem for fishes. In La Canourge, there is an experiment. I don't know if you meet Quentin. So he make a study how to use phosphorus produced by worm filter for plants. He would like to use this phosphorus because with worm filter there is dissolved phosphorus. We have dissolved phosphorus and the exit of worm filter. And if you use this water for greenhouse, plants can take this dissolved phosphorus, and it can be very interesting. So we try to experiment about that. And for the moment, I don't know if he has results. But it can be interesting. I didn't talk about potassium because potassium here in La Canourge we don't put potassium in the system, so it can be just it can come from new water, but there isn't a lot of potassium. and the measurement isn't comment on dit? No, it's easy, but the results are not sont pas très sure, are not very sure for the moment. Alors, so we will talk about physical parameters now. Before it was chemical parameters. Donc alkalinity. Alkalinity is important in hydroponics compartment because it assures the buffery capacity of water. If alkalinity is too high, water is scaling up. And if alkalinity is too low, buffery capacity is too low and water can be aggressive. So the pH can be high or low. No. When there is not, when alkalinity is too low. In aquaponics, alkalinity decreases with nitrification. And sometimes you can bring calcium carbonate or potassium bicarbonate. We don't use to do it here, but sometimes we can do it. Here, the water used comes from Saint-Frézal, comment on dit source? Spring, yes, spring, and the alkalinity is high because of the rock. And you have calcium carbonate, a lot of calcium carbonate in water in La Canourge. Yes, degradation of 1 gram total ammonia nitrogen uses 7.14 gram alkalinity. That's why alkalinity decreases in nitrification. And this figure shows, as a function of pH, the value of alkalinity. You have an aggressive water, middle water, and water with a lot of calcium carbonate here. So if the pH, when you nitrify, the pH is decreased, and you can have aggressive water. It depends of, and alkalinity decrease. So now we will talk about pH. Optimum pH for bacteria is between 7.5 and 9, about 8.2. A slight pH variation is enough to have a significant impact on nitrification process. In aquaculture, pH variation contributes to stress fishes. Ideal pH for fish is between 6.5 and 8.5. And for the plants, pH must be 5.8 and 6.5. So it's difficult to have a compromise between fish and plants. This number comes from a hydroponic source. If pH is too high, some mineral things like iron, manganese, zinc, copper, and are less available for plants. And sometimes we have a pH, here the pH is near 8 sometimes. So it can be a problem for plants, but we can see in the greenhouse that plants grow. First one is nutrients biodisponibility diagram for roots as a function of soils. So it's for plants in soil, cultivated in soil. The optimum pH is between 6 and 7.5 to absorb azote, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, calcium, magnesium. And we can see for iron, manganese, bore, copper, that the pH could be less than 6 to be better. And the second figure is nutrients biodisponibility diagram for roots in hydroponic culture as a function of nutrient solution, pH. So the pH between 5.5 and 6.5. I haven't got the nutrients. Yeah. So it's important to find a compromise for aquaponics system. We have this requirement for fishes, plants, and bacteria, and the compromise for aquaponic is a pH between 6.5 and 7.5 normally. It comes from APIVA project, this compromise. Other parameter, temperature. Temperature is important for bacteria. Optimal growth temperature for nitrophilic bacteria is between 20 and 30 Celsius degrees. Temperature decrease of 50% if temperature is between 15 and 20. And it can decrease a lot, about 75%, if temperature is between 8 Celsius degrees and 15. And we have inhibition of bacteria action for activity for 4 Celsius degrees, or dead if temperature is for 0 degrees or beyond 49 degrees. Just here we have a table with different fish species and temperature minima and maximum, and the middle temperature, the optimal temperature. So we can see the optimal temperature is about 20, 14 is the less temperature, 28 the high temperature because of tilapia or catfish. Omble, alors là, in English. Omble de fontaine.
Venus, it's a salmon fish, like
Je l'avais pas avant. J'ai oublié de traduire. Sinon, we will ask to Catherine. I think she knows. No.
Non, I don't think we. La limite inférieure, c'est pas de mortalité.
Non, c'est. Je pense pas. Pour qu'il y ait un bon grossissement.
You can find it here in lakes and
Brook trout.
so.
But I don't think I don't know, but I don't think we find this sort of fish in aquaponics. En Bleufontaine, une aquaculture. Je sais pas si en élevage, je sais pas. On l'a. In Belgium, you can find it. In farm fish, in aquaculture. The temperature for hydroponic compartments, no? Temperature impacts plants, germination and growth. Ideal temperature for a lot of plants is between 15 and 24 Celsius degrees. For example, for flowers, hot season vegetables, and herbs like tomato, basilic, and between 10 and 20 degrees for lettuce, spinach, broccoli, for example. Plants don't support big temperature variations near their roots. Compromise in aquaponic is a temperature about 15 degrees. And limits of temperature is about 25, 28 degrees. Dissolved oxygen. Oxygen concentration depends on the temperature, so it's important. Of course, the dissolved oxygen concentration decrease with respiration by fishes and bacterial nitrophene process, and dissolved oxygen increase with aeration or oxygenation of water. You have temperature and dissolved oxygen in milligram per liter, and you can see when temperature increase, the concentration decrease. The oxygen comes into out of water. Dissolved oxygen is important for bacteria. In bacteria compartment, nitrophene process is 100% if dissolved oxygen is more than 3 milligrams per liter, or 80% of oxygen saturation level. It's in oxygen we can measure a concentration or a saturation percentage of oxygen saturation level. If the concentration is less than 2 milligrams per liter, we are in anaerobic conditions, and we can have denitrification. So nitrates can become azote, which is a gas. And of course, if we have an anaerobic condition, denitrifying bacteria, we have denitrifying bacteria development. And it's undesirable. I heard about some aquaponics system, I don't know if you know, Rato, they make a denitrifying, but I don't know exactly the technique. They used to do it, but I don't know.
Some Americans do it too, for example, for tomato, what you said before, that if they're vegetative phase, they need more nitrogen, and to reduce nitrogen during fruiting phase, they will use some dinitrification.
If there is too much, if intensive farm. In aquaculture compartments, ideal oxygen is 5 milligrams per liter when we have warm water species, and about 7 milligram per liter for cold water species. So take care of oxygen saturation level, which must be under 120 or 140%. Otherwise, there is a risk of oxidative stress and fish death. So the oxygen can't be too high for fish. In hydroponic compartments, plants consume oxygen for cellular respiration, which convert glucides in ATP, adenosine triphosphate. If oxygen concentration is less than 3 or 4 milligrams per liter, root respiration decrease. There is an inhibition of nutrient assimilation. And if you have oxygen poor conditions, opportunistic disease can appear, and pathogenous fungi can infect roots. So, if we can find a compromise in aquaponics, dissolved oxygen have to be about 7 milligrams per liter. It's okay for the most demanding fishes. It's okay for nitrifying bacteria's development, and it's okay for plant growth. And carbon dioxide must be less than 15 milligrams per liter to prevent suffocation of the fish. Another parameter, redox potential. So we don't measure redox potential in La Canourge, but regulate oxygen for bacteria when you recreate wastewater. And it's very precise, more precise than dissolved oxygen measure, because we can show precisely when we are in anaerobic, when we have, it's more, we are, so positive and high redox potential is an indicator of good water quality and good oxygenation. A negative redox potential is an indicator of lack of oxygen and anaerobic bacteria activity. Reducing activity with release of ammonium, nitrite, and hydrogen sulfur. And in aquaria and hydroponics, we must have redox potential between 200 millivolts. It's electrode normal hydrogen. It's the reference electrode when we measure redox potential. So between 200 millivolts and 400 millivolts. sudden fluctuations of redox potential can reflect a chemical imbalance, which other parameters can highlight. Electroconductivity or conductivity. Electroconductivity is important to follow in hydroponics. Quantity of dissolved nutrient is expressed as total dissolved solids in ppm or as electroconductivity in microsiemens per centimeter or millisiemens per centimeter. It's for to know mineralization of water. Recommendation in hydroponics is TDS between 1,000 and 1,050 ppm. And in electroconductivity unity, 1.5 and 2.5 millisiemens per centimeter. And sometimes until 3.36 millisiemens per centimeter for some plants. In aquaculture compartment, we have no risk of toxicity for fish. We have a risk if we have salinity, more than 5 per mil. Per mil. So 6 millisiemens per centimeter at the temperature of 10 degrees, or 8 millisiemens per centimeter at the temperature of 20 degrees. So these values never reached. In aquaponics, electroconductivity is not representative of real nutrient intakes for plants. They are only issued from ionic fish release and not bound into organic molecules. It's a parameter important for plants, but so we have to measure it. In this table, I put balance of marks parameters and values. So we have the parameters we saw this morning, units of these parameters, and requirement for measuring place. We saw that suspended matter is important in fish compartment, total ammonia nitrogen 2, and nitrate and nitrate. Nitrate can be important too in plant compartment. Not compartment or facilities, it's better. Phosphate is important in fish and plant facilities. Potassium is more important for plant facilities than fish because NPK is important for plants to grow. Alkalinity it's important to measure alkalinity for new water or in a plant's compartment. And pH is important for fish and plants. Dissolved oxygen is important for fish, less important for plants. Redox potential for fish, and perhaps for bacteria too. Electronegativity for plants. It's important for plants. And temperature is important. It's important to measure temperature for plants, fish, and bacteria. And in Lake Canourge, the frequency of this measure are here. Nitrogen compound and suspended matter are measured weekly. Phosphate and potassium too. pH, alkalinity, I don't know. And pH, dissolved oxygen, and other physical parameters once or twice a day. And I put here aquaponic benchmark value we saw just before. But you have to adapt it as a function of fish or plants you have in aquaponic system. It's average value, just average value. Okay. So.